For years, the drone world has really been dominated by one giant. But what if I told you there's a quiet revolution going on? Today, we're going to look beyond that one familiar name and dive into the super exciting world of specialized drones. Okay, so I've got a question for you. When you hear the word drone, what's the very first brand that pops into your head? Just take a second. I'm willing to bet for most of you, it's one specific name, one logo. And yeah, if you said DJI, you're not wrong. For the better part of a decade, they have been the undisputed king of the hill. I mean, they totally earned it, right? They made the tech easy to use, built this amazing ecosystem around it, and priced it so that millions of people could finally get their hands on a drone. But things are changing. The landscape is definitely starting to shift. So yeah, let's talk about those cracks in the empire. That near total dominance, it's starting to look a little less total. We're seeing this really diverse, super competitive field of alternatives pop up, and they're not just appearing out of nowhere. They're being driven by some really powerful forces. So, what's behind all this? Why are people suddenly looking beyond the biggest name in the game? Well, it really boils down to a few key things. You've got geopolitical factors and major security concerns that are forcing big players, especially governments, to find alternatives they can trust. And on top of that, you've got industries realizing that for the really important high-stakes jobs, good enough just doesn't cut it anymore. They need a specialist. And honestly, a huge piece of this puzzle comes down to one little acronym, NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act. So what does it do? In simple terms, it's a U.S. federal law that basically says government agencies can't use drones or even drone parts that are made in certain foreign countries, and that includes China. This one law, single-handedly, has just supercharged the whole market for American-made drones and those from allied countries. Okay, so that brings us right into our first big category, the mission-critical specialists. We're talking about public safety and government. This is probably the most active battleground for DJI alternatives, and it's all because of those security and compliance rules we just mentioned. I mean, these aren't just toys for taking pretty pictures. These are serious mission-critical tools. And this is where things get really interesting. You start to see just how incredibly specialized these things can be. Get this, the Brink Lemur 2. This is a drone that's rugged enough to literally break through glass. It's not for your vacation videos. It's a tool for a SWAT team. It can smash a window, fly into a building, and even set up a two-way comms link in a hostage situation. I mean, come on, that's a whole different league of drone. And Brink is definitely not the only one in this space. It's like a team of specialists, each with a unique job. You've got the Skydio X10D, which is basically the brains of the operation. Its AI is so good it can navigate through a collapsed building all by itself. Then you've got the Parrot Anafi USA, which is like the stealthy scout. It's super compact, but it has this insane 32x zoom and thermal vision, giving first responders eyes where they need them most. Each one is a purpose-built tool for some really critical situations. And this quote just nails it, right? The choice is less about a direct feature-for-feature comparison and more about compliance and mission-specific capabilities. For police, for firefighters, for government agencies, it's not a numbers game about which camera is slightly better. The real questions are, is this thing legally compliant, and is it built to do this specific, sometimes life-or-death job? That's what really matters. All right, so this whole trend of specialization, it's not just happening in public safety. It's also totally transforming other high-end fields, from Hollywood all the way to high-altitude surveying. So think about it. If you're mapping huge areas of land, your biggest enemy is time. Your standard quadcopter just can't stay in the air long enough to be efficient. That's where these crazy hybrids come in, like the Wingtra 1 Gen 2. It's a VTO, meaning it takes off and lands like a helicopter, but then it transitions and flies like an airplane, covering massive areas super efficiently. Or look at the Aggie Eagle EBX. We're talking up to 90 minutes of flight time. That's just incredible endurance for huge surveys. These things are basically flying productivity machines. And that really gets to the heart of it. The critical thing here is efficiency and accuracy over huge spaces. For these businesses, time is literally money. If you have a drone that can map, say, 500 acres in one go instead of 5 separate flights, well, the return on that investment is massive. It's all about getting the most data over the biggest area in the least amount of time. Okay, now let's switch gears to Hollywood. The problem here is pretty simple. Weight. You can't just slap a giant, heavy ARRI or RED cinema camera onto your average consumer drone. It just won't fly. You need an absolute beast. And that's where something like the FreeFly Alta X comes in. We're talking a 35-pound payload capacity. This thing is a serious heavy lifter. And then it gets even more niche with drones like the Sony AirPeak S1, which is designed from the ground up to integrate perfectly with Sony's incredible alpha cameras. All right, so we've talked about SWAT teams and Hollywood, but what about the places where DJI is traditionally the strongest? You know, the everyday hobbyist, the real estate photographer, even agriculture. Well, guess what? Even there, some really compelling alternatives are starting to carve out their own space. So in that prosumer space, you've got companies like Autel just taking direct aim at DJI's lineup. Their Evo Lite Plus is a clear shot at the Mavic and Air series, packing a big 1-inch sensor for people who are serious about their photos and video. And on the other end, for folks just starting out, you've got the Potensic Atom. It's going right up against the DJI Mini series. It's under 250 grams, so you don't have to register it in a lot of places, and it's a great way to just get up in the air. And the level of specialization in fields like agriculture and wildlife monitoring is just mind-blowing. Seriously, think about this. The XAGP100 Pro is basically a flying, autonomous farmhand that can do precision spraying and seeding. Then you have something like the Quantum Systems Trinity Pro with its 90-plus minute flight time, which is perfect for analyzing crop health or tracking wildlife over massive areas. And check out the Autel Evo Eye Dual 640T. It combines a regular 8K camera with a thermal camera so you can monitor wildlife remotely day or night without ever disturbing them. Okay, so we've looked at all these different niches, from SWAT teams to farmers. So let's zoom out. What does the big picture, the new drone landscape, really look like? So what are the key things to remember here? Well, first off, no one company has come along to replace DJI. There's no single DJI killer. Instead, what's happening is the market is fragmenting. It's splintering into all these specialized niches. We've also seen how critical NDAA compliance is, especially for government sectors. It's a total game changer. And maybe the biggest takeaway is this. For those really high-value, demanding jobs, a specialized tool is almost always going to be better than a one-size-fits-all drone. And this quote just puts a perfect bow on it. Yep, no single competitor has gotten anywhere near DJI's level of market penetration, but a whole bunch of manufacturers are now offering superior solutions in these specific, high-value areas. So while DJI might still own the general consumer market, in the high-stakes worlds of public safety, filmmaking, and big industrial jobs, this whole new ecosystem of specialized tools isn't just surviving, it's thriving. So that leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about, right? As all this tech keeps evolving, do you think one company will eventually rise up and do it all again? Or is the future of drones going to be this super diverse, specialized ecosystem where there's a perfect, purpose-built tool for every single job out there? What do you think?